We got some music for this thing?
Not yet. Working on that. Now I'm wondering if it's the fucking port.
Interesting.
Now I'm wondering if it's the port.
You know, I have that issue at home right now where I've been going through Lightning to USB cables over and over and over again and just blaming the cables when it's probably just the surge protector that I need to replace. And there's this brand of cables that I bought on Amazon that I really like, and all of a sudden both of them didn't work out of the the
package,
the surge protector. And they're relatively new. They're very lightly used so far, and they were both plugged in to the surge protector because it's got 2 USB ports in it, and they just both didn't work. And then I pulled one of them out and plugged it into the stupid little, I've got one of these sitting on the counter, and plugged the iPad in, and it starts charging right away. And I'm like, yeah, I just need to buy a new surge protector.
I think, the manufacturers aren't doing so hot with a lot of this stuff these days, but on top of that, they're kind of dabbling into the cross functionality of USB and traditional, what is that, 120s or whatever they call them, and so
you're talking about the
just
output,
the surge protectors
the energy
in
output.
general, just making them all function at the same time. Who knows what kind of little soldering something or others inside that
well, and they're all just kind of designed to break eventually, so you have to buy a new one.
Yeah.
Most stuff. On that note, I've decided anything that I charge with a C-type cable, I'm buying a Nintendo Switch adapter for.
Anything?
Anything. I don't care. I don't care if it's my computer. I don't care if it's my.
You're going to charge everything through your Switch?
Not yeah. Well, I just buy an extra adapter, and use it for that thing too. And the reason is because all of these little off-brand products, they're designed to break, right? But if you bought a Nintendo Switch, I don't care how many hours you put into that thing. If all of a sudden the power adapter just broke, like if that was part of the package, people would be no way that thing is going to fail. It won't.
Interesting. All right. With that note, let's get to football. So
hey everybody, sorry. I didn't mean boring you about like stupid, charging technologies and my strategies on how to get around spending $10 like every 2 months because my cable stopped working.
Yeah, no, I think you got a legit strategy. Everybody needs to go out and buy themselves a $200 Switch.
You're welcome, Nintendo. We're looking for that.
I buy the docking ports.
Huh?
Switch docking ports.
Dude,
because it's such a versatile console, but I'm like, if I have a docking port in my bedroom, like whenever I feel like playing in my bedroom, you just move the dock. Yeah. You don't have to move docking port if you have one.
And it's so small too.
Yeah,
it's so easy. Yeah,
traveling.
You guys killed it with the Switch. You guys really did. Like, for anybody who doesn't really know, the Switch is just amazing. It really is. Like, you take it on the go. It doesn't even just have to be totally handheld either, because you can just set the screen down, and it's got the little latch that comes out to stand up, and you just like being able to just just sit back lazily with your hands and stuff like that. Oh man, it's the best.
8-player.
That thing's the best.
8-player console for certain games.
Yeah, it's completely online compatible. Yeah, you can get just like your Xbox, or your PlayStation, you get the games right there on the Switch. Yeah, it's great. I love that thing.
Okay, so now we'll get
just like this thing. I love this thing. Actually, Spencer Rattler is the Nintendo Switch of the draft. Actually, he can do it all. Seriously, this actually. So, Ray, you want to?
I go out. Okay, so now we're going at it. All right, Spencer Rattler. He's from South Carolina, 23, 6 foot, weighs 211 pounds, has a 31-inch arm, and his hands are 9 and 7/8 inches.
Yeah,
that's kind of excellent footwork, easy, quick release, patient, and needs to throw with more force.
Okay, and I just want to set this up before we go too much farther, because I'm looking at my rookie quarterback cheat sheet here. And there's 6 names on it, and this guy is not on it.
Yeah.
So everyone keep that in mind. So this is a deep sleeper right there.
So you said there's 6 names on it, and he's not on it. So the 6 names we've got are going to be Caleb Williams, Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy. Who am I forgetting?
Michael
Penix Jr., Bo Nix.
Yes.
Those are the 6 names.
Yep.
Yeah.
In order.
So
it's got the little mint in it, huh?
Delicious, huh?
Yeah.
Shout out to
so-
Catherine.
The first thing I'm going to say is the quarterbacks that we're talking about that we have these slides built for. These are, and there's 5. My list is 5. Okay.
Okay.
And
this guy's on it, and okay.
They-
that means there's 2 that
okay,
aren't.
so
You're
there's
just
5
thrown away.
on my list, and my list is in the order that I would draft them in.
Okay.
So we're going to start with Spencer Rattler
At number 1,
at number 1, and the first.
like this is your number 1 quarterback.
This is to me this is the best quarterback in the draft.
Wow. Okay.
He's listed.
yourself.
He's listed at 6 foot. He gets every bit of that 6 foot because he looks bigger on film. And when I say that, it's so when you look at the image of him throwing there, he doesn't lose any of his height to throw the ball. When some of the other, like J.J. McCarthy is listed at 6'4", not when he's throwing the ball, he's not, because he's got to get down and put some of his body power into throwing the ball, and his arm's still not good.
Okay.
Spoiler alert, he's not on this list.
And let me just point out that that's a big deal because they're talking that he might go 4th in the draft.
Yeah, that's a huge mistake.
He might go 4th
That
overall.
he's if that happens, he's the Trey Lance of this draft.
Right. Well, and this is also a guy that at the very beginning of all this was viewed as what, a 2nd or 3rd
Yeah, he was a
rounder?
fringe. He was the 5th quarterback, and it was mostly because if you ask me, mostly because he just came off a national championship win in which he had a good season. He didn't have a great season by any standards, but people give him a break because Jim Harbaugh was the coach, and Jim Harbaugh wanted to run the ball 400 times. And,
Right.
well, JJ just didn't get a chance to show what he could do, and that's probably the strongest strategy that they had. I don't want to talk about Spencer Rattler. We'll talk about JJ in a little bit. Immediately in the first film, I wrote up here, he jumps off the screen, and the reason for that is because he's even back in 2020. He's 23 now. He was starting in 2020 for Oklahoma, and looked almost as good as he does as a senior, or he might, as a senior in South Carolina here in 2023. He just had poise, mechanics. The ball just jumps out of his like when quarterbacks let go of the ball. Some guys let go of the ball, and it's just like that's the repeatable pass. Like that is something I can look at over and over and over again, and it won't get tired of it. Like I'm not going to be like, God, I wish I had a quarterback who could throw the ball just a little bit better. And the one critique I had up there was that he needs to throw with more force. People who back J.J. McCarthy are going to, when I talk about him later, if they rebut me, it's going to be about his arm strength, because he tested as like the 2nd strongest thrower of the football in the draft. I think he threw it over 60 miles an hour. And I'll say, when are you throwing the ball 60 miles an hour in the NFL? That just doesn't. You don't get very many opportunities to do that.
They're there, but they're rare.
And the second thing about that, he wasn't always throwing it to the right guy when he was doing that. So this guy always finds the open man. When I was watching Xavier Legette's tape, one of my notes on there was that he wasn't the obvious number 1 target in his offense, and I didn't understand why, because he was obviously the best athlete on his team. And then after watching Spencer Rattler's tape, it's like, oh, he just doesn't care. He doesn't care who the open guy is. That's why Legette wasn't the obvious number 1 target. It's because Spencer Rattler was just throwing it to the guy who was the most open, who he was finding every time. And the other thing that I loved about watching his tape, his receivers all jump off the line, and they all run hard on their routes every play. And the reason they do that is they know that if they win, he will find them and they will get the ball.
Okay.
And I thought that he got robbed a bunch of times of like some big plays. some touchdowns on well-placed, just beautiful passes. The guy's dropped. Hit him right in the hands. We're talking in between two defenders on corner routes, like sideline throws, over the shoulder plays, over the middle, hitting guys in the hands in tight windows. The guy's just dropped, and these weren't Leggett, okay. and so I think at the next level, we're talking just like C.J. Stroud first year.
Wow.
Like he gets in the right position and gets to play. Like this guy ends up in Denver. So if Denver misses on the quarterback train in the first round, there's a lot of mocks saying that Denver and Vegas aren't going to jump and take Nix and Penix. And if that's the case, teams like the Giants, have a good chance to jump up in day 2 and get these guys in front of them. And if that happens, and he ends up in Denver, look at my comp.
Okay. Drew Brees.
Who's the coach in Denver?
I got you.
I loved everything that I saw him do, and also in the very first game that I watched him play, he scrambles, climbs the pocket and scrambles through the line and hurdles over a defender at the goal line to score the touchdown. Okay. And I was just like, all right, I'm going to watch every bit of this guy's film, and watching, I just couldn't find anything I didn't like except for that thing right there where I said he needs to throw with more force. And I think that those are the types. When you look at his arm, he has the ability to do it. He needs to be told, hey, throw this ball hard. Don't worry about it. He'll catch it. Throw it hard. And we're talking about sideline passes and stuff like that, because I thought sometimes he was a little bit lackadaisical with how he threw the ball, and it seemed like he was a little worried about not putting it exactly where he thought his guy could catch it. But it's not like he was throwing behind guys and getting picked off and stuff like that and throwing wobbly passes. He's just an excellent passer of the football. And his pocket awareness was elite.
Well, then we have to ask the question: why? Why is nobody talking about him? Why is this guy, probably going to go in the third, fourth round?
So, have you ever noticed how much easier life is for pretty people?
Yeah, I've noticed.
You saying quarterback face?
I'm saying that he looks a lot better with his helmet on than off. Like, he kind of looks like Josh Dobbs with hair.
You're too ugly to be our franchise QB.
Hey,
we gotta sell jerseys.
Sports Illustrated did a whole article on that.
Look at my face. I'm not smiling when I say that. I'm not laughing.
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm serious. I'm
no,
serious.
I mean, like I just said, when I said quarterback face, like Sports Illustrated did a whole article on it.
Yeah, and we're talking about football theories here, and that's my theory. Is like there's no way that you can put on a giant screen his tape, and then you put on a giant screen right next to it Caleb Williams tape, and you get 100 diehard football fans. We're talking people that pay money for tickets to go to the draft, right? These are people that know who they want to see, right? Put that up there, and you make them, and you have them watch. You tell me that there's not more of that room that's going to take Spencer Rattler. There's no way. There's no way.
Okay, so you've got this deep sleeper that nobody's talking about. So let's put this.
The way that I found out about him, the way that I found out about him was from. I'm going to give credit to the First Pick podcast. Excuse me, with the First Pick podcast. That's Ryan Wilson and Rick Spielman. Rick Spielman is the brother of Chris Spielman. He's a former GM for Minnesota. I believe I've mentioned him here before. He's the guy that drafted Adrian Peterson, Stefan Diggs, Justin Jefferson. Kind of knows what he's talking about. Kind of knows what he's doing. And they loved him at the Senior Bowl. They covered the Senior Bowl. They were there for the whole week, and they loved him. And I believe that they mock draft him in the second round.
Really?
I think so. But I don't think that it was really they expect it to happen. It was like,
This is what should
Rick
happen.
loves this guy. Like, I'm confident that if Rick Spielman was still the general manager of the Minnesota Vikings, we would not be talking about them jumping up to get J.J. McCarthy. They would draft this guy.
Okay.
They would quietly just draft this guy.
So to put this into practicality, you're doing your rookie draft. This guy's
Thank you.
off most radars. Where are you looking to sneak him in? I mean,
You're talking about single quarterbacks. You can get them with your last pick.
okay. And what about?
And Superflex, I think that if you're talking about 12-team Superflex, someone in your league is going to know about this guy. There's going to be somebody like me in your league, something somewhere close to that, at least knows about this guy. Don't let him get past round 3.
Okay.
That's what I would say.
right
There's
around
no
3.
excuse
Okay.
not to go to. There's no excuse to draft any of the guys that are going to go in round 3 towards the back half over this guy in a super flex.
So we got one comment here coming in through YouTube. Says Spielman can't draft quarterbacks though.
He wanted to draft Kirk Cousins. That's why Kirk Cousins ended up in Minnesota. Is they thought they were going to be able to hold on. They thought they were going to get him, and he didn't last long enough. They didn't expect the now Commanders to get him. But Rick Spielman told that story on the podcast.
Well, Happy Vash, he says lifelong Vikings fan here. Well, welcome to the podcast, Vash.
What's up, brother?
All right, lifelong Vikings fan. Sweet. I know
my boy
about you
Zach.
people. You're good people.
That's my boy.
You guys been, brutalized
This is your boy?
in NFL history.
You know this guy?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Good friend of mine.
Oh, awesome. All right.
So, I don't think there was really anything else I
Okay.
could say about him.
Well, I just
that's my number one.
And anybody watching there, that's big news. That's something that most of your league mates won't be thinking about.
And I should say that when I'm going to draft a guy, for Dynasty, the most important thing to me is going to be: is he starting in 3 years, or am I going to have a Justin Fields situation?
Right.
That's what I'm worried about.
Well, and these guys, you're taking your shot. You know what I mean? Other than the top 3, I'd say that you're guessing, you're hoping. You know what I mean?
You
you're
say
not-
that, and I'll remind you that the 2021 draft, 2021. This is 2024, people.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the 2021 draft, inside the top 15, Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
Where's he at?
Pittsburgh, baby.
How did he get there?
Yeah, no, and for nothing. Yeah,
Okay.
for literally nothing.
Okay, drafted in front of him. Excuse me, I'm sorry. Just behind him, Mac Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Mac Jones?
Actually, I don't even know right now.
Yeah.
But those are two great
Hold on,
examples.
Hold on.
because
hold on.
because
I'm not done. I'm not even
okay,
done.
please.
I'm not even done. Okay. Has anybody seen Zach Wilson? Drafted number 2. Clear. It was clear as day. He was definitely the second best quarterback behind. Who was number 1 that year?
Who was it? That
Oh, Trevor Lawrence.
Yes.
Right. Is he good?
yes.
Ha-
yes.
really? Is he?
Is he great?
Are you
no.
so in a
But is he good?
one quarterback league? Are you starting Trevor Lawrence? Are you
If I punted on
like,
quarterbacks.
if I punted on quarterbacks?
Yes. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. He's a fringe fantasy football player.
Yeah. Doesn't
But,
sound like
but,
a.
but he is, top 15
Sorry.
in the NFL.
He's he's top 15ish in the NFL. Right along the what is that? Kirk Cousins line? You'd say?
Okay.
Honestly,
Oh,
Honestly.
nice catch.
would you in a draft? Would you rather walk away with Trevor Lawrence in the 7th or Kirk Cousins in the 11th?
Right. Kirk Cousins in the 11th for sure.
Okay, so
But-
hold on. All right.
All right.
Where did Kirk Cousins get drafted?
No idea.
Round 4. In the same draft where they took RG3, number 2 overall. Okay? So they already got their guy in the draft. I'm sorry, hold on. They already got their guy, their obvious cornerstone quarterback with the number 2 overall pick. And then the guy they got 3 rounds better has made $200 million more.
Yeah, I love Kirk Cousins too. But I mean,
so-
you're talking outlier situation.
That's not.
And-
it happens all the time.
Hold on.
I'm
Let me go now.
It's his turn.
Now, when we're talking those top 3, those top guys, everyone that you mentioned, even those failures, they all got multiple years to try, and we're talking super flex leagues.
Did they?
Yes.
Trey Lance?
Yes. Well. He wasn't a top guy though.
Yeah, he's number 3. The 49ers, have you seen what the Dolphins turned into what the 49ers gave them for the 3rd overall pick?
No,
It's unbelievable. They turned it into Bradley Chubb, Tyreek Hill, and Jalen Waddle. That's what they did with the draft capital that the 49ers gave them for Trey Lance. So don't tell me that these teams have figured anything out.
No, okay, but all those other quarterbacks, even Mac Jones, who is a little bit farther down, they got multiple years to try. And in a super flex league, that's what you want.
That's not enough.
You're looking
That's not enough.
for your
You're
flex,
talking about
like,
hashtag 2-3 year window on running backs and wide receivers, not quarterbacks. Quarterbacks at age 35 plus, sure. But at the beginning, what you have to pay to get them onto your team, no way. Like, unless you have situations like this where like Spencer Rattler is gold. Like, because this is a guy that's going to start for you. For as soon as he gets the football, he's not going to give it back. And he's going to start for 10 plus years in the league, and he's going to be a Pro Bowl caliber player. And if there's any quarterback in this draft that can win a Super Bowl, it's Spencer Rattler.
All right. Be interesting to see that play out, man.
I can't
That's
wait.
cool. That's.
Next
I
up,
hope you're right.
So, sorry.
Next
Sorry,
up,
everybody.
Michael Penix Jr. No, I just flipped the screen too soon. I should have left it on the other guy for a while. Washington, age 24, height 6'2", weight 216, arms are 33 and 5/8 inches, and hands are 10.5 inches. Kenny has him down as an elite accuracy. He has elite accuracy outside and deep, strong arm, good pocket presence, but needs to process faster.
And just to clarify, is this your number 2?
Yes.
Okay.
They're in order. Yeah.
And again, we have to point this out. On most draft boards, he's number 5.
Yeah.
And he's projected to go 2nd round, not
And
first.
a lot of that is he's going to go in the 1st round, I think.
Okay.
So
End of first.
what I think is going to happen, like, I actually don't think that Spencer Rattler is going to go to Denver. I think what's going to happen with Rattler is it's going to take probably a year or 2 for him to get his job because of where he ends up going. And we don't know exactly where that's going to be yet. And even if it's Oakland, like if he ends, or not Oakland, Vegas.
Same.
If he ends up in Vegas, I really like Gardner Minshew. Like, on another
He's a great backup, yeah.
Well, no, he's going to start this year. Gardner Minshew is going to start in Vegas with Devontae Adams. Like, it's going to be good for fantasy football. I promise. It's going to be good. Like, he's not a great quarterback. He's
Nope.
better. He's better than J.J. McCarthy, though. Anyway, I actually think this guy is going to go in round 1. What he put together in terms of production and how much people love that first thing up there, the elite accuracy and outside to the outside and deep. That's just, it's important.
And I did watch one of his games this year and was impressed with his arm.
And it's in every game. Actually, he has excellent placement. He's my knock on him is like when he needs to process faster. I think there's times where he's waiting for that deep play to develop, and he could have just taken the underneath play. Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of those things that can get coached out of a player. But he can put the ball anywhere. He can throw the ball. He's willing to throw the ball anywhere, and he can do it with accuracy, with strength. The knock on him, the reason that people have him lower, is because he has an injury history. Even though he's been completely cleared medically. He ran. Other quarterbacks don't run at the combine. He ran at the combine. Not Caleb Williams didn't show up to the combine.
Didn't need to.
Well, it could have only hurt him.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean,
If that
It's a
okay,
dumb
hold on.
move.
Sorry, real quick.
Makes sense. It
Real
tracks.
quick. Just my perspective from somebody who's got a political science degree.
Does this guy have any
Okay.
injury concerns?
All right, hold on.
We
This
got
guy?
a YouTube question. Yeah. Does he have any injury
concerns? No, he's he's medically cleared in terms of like they analyzed his knees and have found that they like, and they'll do this like they the knock on Tajay Spears right now is that when they he went through medical, they found out he doesn't have any cartilage in his knees, and he's only going to play for like 4 years, 5 years. Like he's not a 2-contract player, and so that showed up for people in the draft, and that's why he went later in the draft. And Michael Penix Jr., when he went through his medical, he cleared, and he ran like a 4.740 or something like that. He's lightning fast. My comp on him is Mark Brunell, and
going old school.
Do you remember Mark Brunell? Well, the two I had to me it had to be somebody that was left-handed, obviously.
Okay.
And a good passer of the football, and he's not Michael Vick. He doesn't have the arm strength that Michael Vick has, although he's more accurate. He's a better quarterback than Michael Vick was at coming out of college. But that's who he reminds me. He kind of, I swear to God, dude, he reminds me of somewhere between Mark. He's a less talented processor of information than Steve Young. So
Okay.
but when I watch him, that's who he reminds me of, because he'll light you up. If like he goes to a team that's going to block for him and he has time, like this is the quarterback. This is at the segue, probably the most dangerous passer with a clean pocket. If you don't get to him on time, and we're talking about by the time he's 26 and he's got things figured out, he's just going to kill people.
Right on. So your deep passer right there.
And he does have the ability to run. And like I put up
Right.
there, it seems like he does.
Probably have some Patrick Mahomes type stats. It's not like he's trying to run all the time, but he can and will, get like 300 yards on the year kind of thing. Or are you talking like 6 or 8?
He has the physical ability to get over 500 yards in a season, for sure. And 500. We're talking about 40 yards a game. We're talking about he takes off on 6 or 7 scrambles a game and gets you 40-ish yards.
That's honestly, that's a running quarterback in my opinion.
Huh?
So that's like that goes into my head as a running quarterback, because you're getting an extra 4 points a game out of this person for the running
I said he has the ability.
then-
He has the ability to do that. He can. Because he's that much faster than like average defensive ends. We're talking about like the top 5 defensive ends are the only guys who can keep up with him in speed. And half the time they have a 300-pound guy, attached to them, so they're a little bit of a disadvantage when they're trying to keep up with him. He has good pocket presence, so he doesn't run into a bunch of sacks. He knows where he's at in the pocket. Like I said, he just needs to get rid of the ball faster. He just needs to make a decision faster.
Okay.
Like there was too often where his decision was, I just need a second and a half to throw to that guy.
So 1 quarterback leagues, what round are you taking him in?
2.
Okay. And
Late 2.
super flex?
Late 2. Round 1.
How, like 1 what? 1-0?
I'd be willing to take him with. That's a really good question. Thank you for asking that question, actually, because that's my most difficult decision in a super flex league where I need a quarterback. The guys that are falling right there are like Adonai Mitchell, Xavier Worthy, Brian Thomas Jr., and then the quarterbacks that you have available are Penix and Bo Nix. And if you don't take Penix right there, and let's say you have pick 108, Okay, in a 12-team league, you have pick 108. He won't be there at 208.
Right.
He'll be gone, and so will Nix.
But will they be gone at like 202, 203? Like
Yes,
that's kind of
usually
around.
yes. That is the borderline. It's like
Yeah,
201.
the Superflex, you want to take your chances on these quarterbacks.
in the first round.
Who knows?
Yeah. There's and to me in Superflex, like, I know Caleb Williams is going to go first. There's nothing I can say that's gonna. I'm gonna say things, but there's nothing I can say that's gonna change that. That's gonna happen, and I'm sorry, Bears fans. Yeah, I would take this guy at Superflex at the end of round 1. Like, I'd be willing to take him somewhere if I had picked 1-8. So if I had picked 1-8, I'd try and trade back like 2 slots.
Gotcha.
Like, trade back 2 slots, get the 110, and come up in the second round. Get in the top half of the second round. Give yourself a chance to get Bo Nix too, or also get like you can maybe, if you're lucky, Trey Benson will still be there. Depends on who goes where. But if Jonathan Brooks goes to the Cowboys, a lot of people are mocking, and yay! Excuse me. Then Trey Benson could be there for you at pick 2, 2-4, 2-5, something like that. And then you can get like Spencer Rattler in round 3.
Okay, so crazy things happen in your draft. You're picking 109 or whatever, 109, 110. And you need a quarterback on your team, and Drake May is still out there, and so is Michael Penix.
That's a good question.
Who would you go
Man,
there?
you're good at this.
Well, these are the questions that people are going through. You know,
This is
these,
such a-
these are the ones that
because,
what you have to be going through in your head
because
for
he's
the first 2
next on the
rounds.
list.
Yeah.
And and it's my favorite. So if you've ever gone to the NFL Network and looked at their prospect profiles, they give you a little score, and like, so 8.0 is the perfect prospect, just for reference. Drake May scores like a 6.32 or something like that, which is good. And like, I think nobody scored higher than like 6.7 this year.
Okay.
Caleb Williams is a 6.35,
Okay.
and not the highest rated quarterback,
All right.
according to the NFL. So if I remember that correctly, that's true. And they also have Rattler, my guy, as a like Case Keenum-ish. I don't think they said Case Keenum. I think they said like fill-in starter or something like that. But anyway, on Drake May, they have boom or bust. And I think that's apt. And we can move on. Love you, Michael Penix. You're my dude.
Next up is Bo Nix, age 24, height 6'2", weighs 214 pounds, arms 31.78 inches, hands are 10 1/8 inch. He's elite over the OTR.
On the run.
On the run accuracy. Excellent athleticism, excellent arm strength, but needs to improve his processor.
All right.
That's the biggest thing for a lot of these quarterbacks, and to me, that's why Rattler stands head and shoulders above the rest of them. Is just that he was so good at processing that it actually affected the effort of people around him. Like when you watch the tape on these guys, like if you're watching, so for Bo Nix, for instance, if you're watching Troy Franklin, or if you're watching Bucky Irving, the Troy Franklin's the wide receiver prospect who's been tumbling in the draft, and that makes a lot of sense. Because to me, he cost Bo Nix a lot of yards last year. And then Bucky Irving, you'll see them just take plays off. And then this isn't just Bo Nix. This is any of the players that you watch for any of the teams. You'll see them not give maximum effort on every play. And the reason for that is because they don't believe they're going to get the ball. They don't believe that they're going to be important. And when you watch South Carolina football last year, that was the most special thing about their team, was just the overall all-around effort by everybody.
Did they play against any big names, big name teams last year?
Yeah, he played against Georgia. He played against Florida.
And performed well?
Yes.
Nice.
Yeah, like to be honest with you, I don't look at their box score numbers. So I can't tell you, dude, he just crushed Florida with 400 yards and 4 touchdowns and only had 3 incompletions. That's not what I'm looking at. That's really not what I'm looking at, because he can't control all that. That's not like, there's so much especially in college, that you can't control. At the NFL level, it's a little different. You should expect guys to succeed. There's like, if a quarterback is not succeeding after 2 or 3 years, he's probably not accurate. He's probably not on time. He's probably not throwing to the right guy. Yeah. But like that was the thing. Sorry to go back to Rattler again, but that was the thing that.
Well, he's your love. He's your man crush. I mean,
you just don't see it, man. You just don't see an entire team change their effort because of unless there was some other reason. And to me, it's the quarterback. It's the leader. It's like when you believe in your guy, you fight a little harder. You know what I mean? So, anyway, they were. Despite not having the most talented players, looked the most like a professional team because they played together.
And that says a lot. Yeah, that says a lot. So Bo Nix.
I thought Bo Nix could have been the number 1 pick in the draft if he didn't have so many balls dropped last year.
Okay. And just so everybody knows, this guy on most draft boards, he is the number 6 quarterback going overall. He's the last of the prospects that people are really excited about, and we expect him to go late first, early second.
I think. I think what's
NFL
actually
draft?
it depends. It depends on. It really depends
we
on
don't know
in the middle.
But expected. I would say late first.
They can
early
fall.
second. Yeah.
Because what happens is the teams that need a quarterback, they're either at the top of the draft already, or they move to the top of the draft and take their quarterback, despite the fact that no one else needs one, which is just. I'm sorry.
They're hard to find, man.
I'm sorry. And side note, real quick. I'm sorry. I'm gonna go on a little tangent. Okay.
What, you?
I know.
Okay.
I would never do such
right.
a thing. Have you guys seen the movie Trouble with the Curve?
Yes. No. I've seen parts of it. I want to see. I need to watch it all the way through.
It's like it's one of my favorite baseball movies. It's definitely top 3.
All right. I have not seen it.
And not just because it's got Justin Timberlake in it, although I love Justin Timberlake and his new album is absolutely fire. Anyway, so in that movie, the premise, which also has Clint Eastwood, okay, and John Goodman, Clint Eastwood plays an old veteran scout for, I believe, the Braves, for the Atlanta Braves, is the organization they work for. Okay, John Goodman plays the head of scouting, and it's clear that the team doesn't have a whole lot of faith in Clint Eastwood's character anymore. But John Goodman, the head of scouting, doesn't make any important decision without talking to him first, because he knows, because he just knows everything. And despite the fact that he can't even fucking see anymore, based on sounds that he hears, like in scouting.
Oh yeah. Okay, I remember that movie.
Yeah, based on sounds that he hears in scouting, he's able to go, yeah, he did this with it. Go. He tells his daughter, go over there to the other side of the field and watch for this specific thing and tell me if he does this thing.
Right.
And without being able to see, is able to, tell the organization, you need to stay away from this kid.
Yeah.
And so he's that scout. He's that talented scout. His boss trusts him. His boss is under pressure from another character in the movie, played by Matthew Lillard, great actor. And this guy is why I'm talking about this right now. This guy, to me, is like, he has to be everywhere in every organization, it seems like, except for the ones that are actually winning. And he's in love with that kid that scout tells the head scout not to draft. And he has the authority to override that decision. And his love for that kid comes from only knowing him digitally.
Okay.
And what do I mean by that? I mean, he watches him on Instagram, other social medias. He watches all of his statistics. He literally says in the movie, "I've been watching this kid since blah, 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 blah." And John Goodman's character calls him out, "You've been watching box scores. You haven't been to a single game."
Right.
And to me, that's what's going on.
With
everything right now.
Oh, okay.
In terms of like how these guys are making decisions on how to draft guys and how to make trades, like where they are just like even the 49ers were guilty of it when they went after Trey Lance. Like, look at what they gave up to get Trey Lance, and did they need him? No. And my point in bringing this up is that we do this every year now. Every single year, when there's more than one quarterback, or when there's more than one quarterback that people might want to start in the league, we have just a bum rush to the top of the draft. Got to get one of those top 3 picks. There's no way I could possibly draft him anywhere else. And it's like, doesn't this team need a tackle? Don't they already have a quarterback? Doesn't this team already have a quarterback? Don't they need a cornerback? Doesn't this team already have a quarterback? Don't they need a wide receiver? And so my point in talking about that, and to bring us full circle, is that once you get past the first 4 picks in the draft, these quarterbacks could go anywhere because nobody needs them anymore except for the teams that didn't trade up to get them. So really what you're doing after a certain point is going, should I draft this linebacker who could be a starter for my team right now? Or do I draft this quarterback I don't need because he's valuable?
And he might be good.
In the NFL, they never just take the quarterback. They'll always gamble on the linebacker that's going to get washed out in 2 years and never starts a game for you. They won't do it 100 times out of 100 if they believe they have one starting quarterback on their team, despite the fact that every single year we start more than 60 different quarterbacks.
So what you're saying is take quarterbacks high?
No, what I'm saying is none of it makes any sense.
But to go back to Bo Nix here, actually it looked like Bash was asking if is he a system quarterback?
Yes, and thank you for asking that. That's a great question, because the knock on Bo Nix and the reason he's lower is because people are saying that he had a spoon-fed offense and that he threw a lot of bubble screens and short passes and stuff like that. And it's like, that's what Oregon did. Go back and watch him in, I think it's Arkansas. I think it was Arkansas. Like I'd have to double check that. Whatever school it was definitely an SEC school that he came from. And the reason that I fell in love with his tape was watching that first. And I made sure to put on there that he's got elite on the run accuracy, because if you've heard anything about Bo Nix, you should be going, what? What do you mean elite on the run accuracy? When was he throwing on the run? He wasn't asked to do it at Oregon, but he had the best ability to roll opposite of his dominant arm. So to roll left, for him, he's a right-handed quarterback, to roll left and throw with power and accuracy, he was the best. Like, it was not close. Like it looked like he liked doing it because he was so good at it. And they just didn't ask him to do it at Oregon. And so at Oregon he was asked to do completely different things. And what did he do? Throw for 4,700 yards, 45 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions. Yeah, I actually like. Whoever drafts this guy is getting a great quarterback. It's just a matter of what they do with him.
Okay.
I would love to see
so
him.
So you personally like him better than, say, Drake May?
So the reason I ranked him higher is because of the boom-bustiness of Drake May. And we'll talk
Don't
about...
you kind of want that, though?
In fantasy football, you do.
Yeah, well, I thought that's what we're talking about. Isn't this a fantasy football show?
Is it?
We're going back and forth.
Oh.
Well, we're talking about, like... so...
I mean, the conversation could have easily been asked.
We're talking...
Where would he go on the NFL draft? But a lot of times, we kind of clarify.
I'm just ranking
on
the
NFL
prospects.
draft. He's going to go on this round, but you should probably take him in your league at this
Yeah.
round. Like,
I'm just ranking the
kinda balance
prospects.
with it.
Yeah, so that this wasn't like ranked for like Superflex or one quarterback leagues or anything like that. This was just how I specifically said how if I was the GM, this is the order I would draft them in.
Right, and that's why I'm asking these questions, is because I'm trying to figure out, I'm just picking
yeah,
your brain,
yeah,
brother.
No. and so
Not
just
acceptable.
because I rank Bo Nix higher as a quarterback prospect does not mean I would rather have him on my fantasy team than Drake May.
Okay.
Or a guy who's not even on my draft list, Jaden Daniels.
Okay. And we'll talk about him at the end. The two guys, the major ones that you left off, we can give them a quick.
Yes. Oh yeah. I
why.
plan to. There's a reason I left him off.
So next up,
Drake May, North Carolina, 21, height 6'4", weighs 223 pounds, has arms 32 and a quarter inch, hands 9 1/8 inch. Ken has him listed as a cannon arm, reckless scrambler, but and has sloppy footwork and has slow processing.
wow, a lot of negatives on there.
Well, the reckless scrambler is a really good thing for fantasy football.
Okay. But
And-
not the length of his career.
Hey, well, he's 6'4", 223, so he's not much smaller than my NFL comp for him, which is Josh Allen. And a lot of people are
What's Josh Allen's size?
6'5", 230.
Wow, I didn't know he was that big.
He's a
Okay.
big dude. Actually, I think he might be 235 now. He's a
Wow.
big dude. And Drake May will put on another 8 to 10 pounds, as he's 21. He's 21.
Yeah.
I think so. Right there, it says this is the guy I wouldn't want to be wrong about. And so in a fantasy draft, I would take him over all of the 3 guys we just talked about. I would take. This is the guy I would take number 1. So
Okay.
to me, like when you're at 102, like this is the guy you want to draft. Like I know,
Really?
like even if you want a wide receiver on your team, like if your opponent, if like the guy with 101 in our league doesn't take Drake May, you should take Drake May. And like he's gonna get a chance to start.
Yeah,
that's gonna happen.
He's going to have the draft pedigree.
Yes,
he's going to get
he's
a couple
going to
years
get a
for
chance
sure.
to start. He's going to get a chance. He is a more accurate, he's a more finished product right now than Josh Allen was coming out. People didn't know if Josh Allen was going to be able to put the accuracy together. This guy already has that. He just needs to get with an NFL level mind in terms of the passing games, and he needs to, as soon as he cleans up his footwork, he could destroy the NFL.
Okay.
Like he actually has those physical traits, those abilities. He could do that. Just like Josh Allen has done for the last 4 years in fantasy football, he could do that at some point. That being said, he's got sloppy footwork. He's lazy. Much like the guy we'll talk about next. Their footwork is just very similar. He relies on his physical skills a little too much. And so he has more room to be even better should have even more arm strength, even better accuracy, if he just cleans up some of that footwork, and then the processing.
But he could also flame out. This is also a guy that maybe he doesn't.
He could. This is the guy. Like this guy, man. As a Cowboys fan, I really don't want him to go to Washington, but this is the guy they have to take.
Washington picks second or third?
Second. And then third is New England. And if he goes to New England, I feel so bad for him, and I'll be worried. I will actually be worried if he's going to succeed. Whereas if he was to go number 1 or number 2, like if there's no way he's going to the Bears. We've already know they're taking Caleb Williams. That's a done deal basically. Mm-hmm. But if he goes number 2 and he gets to throw to Terry McLaurin, and he gets to hand off and throw to Austin Eckler, he's got a really good shot to be very, very annoying for Cowboys fans.
All right. I think we've finished up with Drake there. Caleb Williams. Now, this is the clear, far away 101 for the NFL draft. And this guy, everybody is singing his praises. And
they're just in love.
Absolutely
They're
love
drunk.
this guy.
They're drunk in love.
Tell us why everybody is wrong.
So, first of all, let's talk about the things that I like about him.
Okay.
He was the most confident quarterback on screen. Like, obviously the quarterback who's most confident in his own abilities on screen. That shows up. Right. He is a very gifted scrambler. He has an ability to kind of just eyes in the back of his head, see a guy coming and duck out of the way, and Fran Tarkenton or Patrick Mahomes-esque take off on a magic carpet ride of a play. It happened. Okay. And the problem is that he doesn't take easy plays. He never checks the ball down. That's just not happening. So wherever he goes, like the running back, like if they had receiving hype,
is gone.
It's gone now.
So he's let's just think that out. I mean, he's going to the Bears. The Bears running backs right now are
they just paid DeAndre Swift max.
Oh, they got Swift. That's right.
$45 million over 3 years to DeAndre Swift.
It seems like Swift would be a real good guy to throw to because he get him in space with the ball.
That seems like it would be really, really smart. But he doesn't do that. Right. He also does not throw the ball over the middle, ever.
Okay.
Just ever. And maybe that's because he's 6'1" and he can't see. The guys that are under 6'2", like 6'2" is really the cutoff. That's where Aaron Rodgers is at. Tony Romo was 6'2", Steve Young was 6'2". That's really the cutoff for a quarterback who can just really stand in the pocket and deliver passes over the middle without a bunch of trouble. And he seems to have trouble doing that. He just doesn't want to do it. And they ran plenty of routes that were in breaking and open over the middle, and he just never threw it there. And then the thing that I really didn't understand about that, you get over there.
That camera's in trouble.
Too close to me. He's not accurate. There were so many. When I think about watching his film, there were so many times, and really it was Brendan Rice, when I was watching Brendan Rice's film on deep passes, where the player would beat their man and they would kind of let up towards the end of the route, and you're watching the player and you go, where'd the ball go?
Okay.
And sometimes it will have landed 10 yards out of bounds, 10 yards short and out of bounds. It was bad. It was.
But isn't that the receiver running the wrong route?
It was a go route. What are you talking about?
No, I mean that's what I usually see when.
No, this is no. And thanks because no, And worse,
It was just an underthrow.
yeah, and worse than that, it was what Caleb Williams wanted, because on half of his plays that were passing plays, it was one of two things. It was step out, throw a bubble screen, or scramble, 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 throw a bad pass. And when I say bad pass, like sometimes he was okay and he was rewarded, and it just like the guy was so open that it didn't matter. He was able to stop and wait for the ball to get there. But he was willing to put the ball in danger all the time, and that's the thing. Is like, if you look at what's my comp?
Dak and Mahomes?
No, it's not Dak and Mahomes. I'm calling him Dak Mahomes, and the reason I'm calling him Dak Mahomes is because you want him to be Patrick Mahomes, but then he breaks your heart like Dak Prescott and throws picks and throws and just goes, oh no, don't throw that ball, like, and you get away with a lot of that stuff in college.
Right.
He's not going to get away with that in the NFL. He's not. And my favorite like statistic about Caleb Williams is that so you know like what the number one complaint about Justin Fields is, right? And why they wanted to get rid of him?
Accuracy, wasn't it?
Not accuracy. It's how long he holds on to the ball.
Oh, right.
He had the longest snap to release of any quarterback last year, right?
Okay.
Caleb Williams was longer.
Really?
And he runs a Cliff Kingsbury offense, which is just like dunk, 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 dunk. It's supposed to be, right? Like Kyler Murray runs that offense in Arizona. I watched Kyler Murray run that offense in Arizona, and to me, he's just a worse prospect than Kyler Murray. He's not as fast.
So you're officially predicting bust here? Like,
I don't want to call him a bust,
Chicago?
but I don't want to call him a bust. I think you can get like Kyler Murray. I think you can get like Kyler Murray level production, and it's like at this point.
Expand on his running ability. Like in the NFL, like how many yards?
In the NFL, he's not.
Next year? If you had to guess next year, how many yards?
No, he's not. He's not. He does. That's the other thing. Is he doesn't have that ability. He doesn't have Kyler Murray's speed, so he can't. He's not going to take off vertically up the field like Jaden Daniels is going to do from this class. He's scrambling to pass very much like Mahomes, which is, I think, why people want to compare him to Mahomes. And they just like, and Mahomes has won 3 Super Bowls, and it's like, this is the closest thing. This guy plays just like him. It's got to be, this is it, right? That's the only thing that makes any sense to me, because when you watch him play, he doesn't process. He's just playing backyard football all the time, and he doesn't really do it at an elite level.
Did you see a big difference between his tape last year and the year before? Because his stats the year before were actually better. Right?
I know, and I know his stats were better. He threw less interceptions the year before, and people want to go, well, he had to score every time they had the ball. There's a way to do that, and it's by not throwing it to the ball the other guy. And he is not good at that. I thought he just paid more for his mistakes this last year than the year before. And a lot of those 40-point outings are on him for scrambling for 5 seconds and then fumbling the ball. He had like 30 plus fumbles over the last 2 seasons.
But the world is in love with him.
Huh?
But the world's in love with him. That's crazy.
So to go back to confident, I heard this little take about a month ago, and I haven't been able to get it out of my mind because it makes business sense. And that's that you don't have to worry about what's going to happen to him when he gets his contract. He's rich already.
Oh, this guy is?
He's the first NIL superstar. Like he made like $10 million last year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
NIL, what's that?
That's the I actually don't know. I'd have to look up what it means, but that's the acronym for the group that the NCAA came up with to handle paying the players.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
It's the it's how whatever it is, whatever that stands for. It's a subdivision of the NCAA, and it like determines how these players how much they're worth.
Okay.
And so yeah,
I got it.
He is well off. He's well paid already. So he is who he is. Like, he's not gonna get paid and have a bunch of problems happen in his personal life and
Go racing down a freeway and crash.
yeah, we can get racy rice. We can get to that in a little bit, but and I heard that and I was like, I get that. I get knowing that you're going to invest, and this kid's not just going to change. That's important.
Yeah.
That's big. If you're a $1 billion organization, yeah, that's important.
So let's say crazy things happen and this guy's slipping down the Is this somebody you're just avoiding, or?
I am no. Because I think he's going to, especially being the number 1 overall draft pick.
Right.
He's going to start for several years.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
He's going to. That's going to happen. It's just that it's never going to be as good as it is with Kyler Murray.
And a lot of people are disappointed with Kyler Murray. So this is the next Daniel Jones or something.
And to go back to like fantasy football, man, if I had the 101, that's what I would be trying to do. And it's funny because in our league, the 101 actually already has Kyler Murray.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I would, because of where Kyler Murray's being valued right now, that's the quarterback that I would love to just like turn a premium draft pick into, and then plus get like Kyler Murray and a second rounder, because this draft is deep. We're talking, to me, the first 35-ish picks, 36 picks. That's 3 rounds. The first 36 picks or so, I want any picks in there.
Wow.
I'll be happy. Like, I will get a starter.
Yeah, and just so everybody knows that Ken and I have very different philosophies as far as that goes. I like to get whatever I can for my second and third round picks, and I usually feel like I get more than what they're worth, because those second and third round picks they miss so often that And obviously you have great confidence in your scouting ability, and I like making trades in my favor, so it works out for everybody.
Yeah. So yeah, in that league, how many? I think I've picked up. I think I have 9 picks now in that.
Nice.
In that draft. And
you're gonna be dropping people off your squad.
I
just
am.
to put your rookies in.
No, I am.
Funny.
But I did that on purpose. I made trades where I was bringing back trash players just to give the other player the idea that they were getting value for these trash players, so that I could get their second and third round picks and get swaps. And so I also one of my favorite trade I made in that league is I traded Derrick Henry for Nick Chubb and a second. I got the 210 and Nick Chubb for Derrick Henry. And if you're not familiar, they just restructured his deal.
Yeah, I saw that.
Nick Chubb is not going anywhere.
But he's not going anywhere. But Nick Chubb is a big gamble, man.
I don't think so.
Well, and you can't count on him this year.
At the end of the year, you can.
I mean,
And
maybe
I already have Jerome Ford on that roster, and Jerome Ford is a really good player to be watching if people drop or something like that, because he's going to play. He's going to play the first few weeks, but there's this news about Nick Chubb is going to have people not wanting him for sure, I think. And I think he's going to be a very valuable first 6 weeks of the season, because that's what I would expect. I expect Nick Chubb to start on the pup. But
For sure.
when he comes back, he's going to be Nick Chubb, dude. He's just a dude.
That's
he's
all
just a
right.
dude.
We'll
man.
see, man. That's a lot of confidence in that need. But let's finish up the quarterbacks here. So Caleb, I think we've pretty much summed him up there.
That was the
So,
last one.
Do we have any other slides? Or are we done with the
That's
slides?
This is the last slide, so we can leave it on Caleb Williams. Because that's
So the one
people are-
we talked about
number one for people.
what's his face from Michigan a little bit, but
let's finish that though. Let's talk about because he's the rising star, right?
McCarthy? Okay.
JJ McCarthy, and so.
Get your questions in, folks. We're done with the slides. We're on tangents now.
Yeah, so well, we have a few players to talk about, but do you have are you short on time?
No, not really. I'm
Okay.
just really tired.
You need
For
a drink?
some reason. I don't know what it is. I don't think I got my coffee this morning, so that made me a little grumpy.
You know what? I kind of actually assumed that you were going to have the thermos,
Yeah, no.
and until you said it
It's a
right
whole
now,
thing.
I didn't even think about that.
It was a whole thing this morning.
Oh, we're
It's-
spitballing. Talk about it. What
No,
happened?
I don't
What
wanna
hap-
talk
why
about
don't, Wait,
it.
why don't I have coffee right here?
I don't want to get into it. But
I'm
go
sorry,
ahead,
guys.
let's-
I tried.
Yeah.
So he is rising so fast and so hard, and people are talking about giving up, multiple teams being willing to give up, in my opinion, ridiculous amounts of assets to move up in the draft and get him,
it feels like BS.
that I felt like I had to go back and watch again. Because when I watched him the first time, I just didn't remember seeing anything remarkable. I didn't remember seeing anything that I hated, but I also just remember to see anything remarkable. When I go back and I watch him, I hated it. Like, I actually hated it. And the reason, I was not enjoying it, and then I got to the Bowling Green game. And,
Who are we talking about?
yeah.
Who?
JJ McCarthy.
J.J. McCarthy?
JJ McCarthy, Michigan quarterback. I believe he's the youngest of the top prospects, which is probably the best thing you can say about him. But I thought he had the weakest arm of any of these guys, right next to Caleb Williams. Because I do think Caleb Williams' arm is weak.
Okay.
Like, I saw the 70-yard pass that he performed from a run in shorts with no pads on that everybody thought was amazing.
That's,
and it was the
Zach Wilson-esque, isn't
and
it?
it was the only pass that was released from that whatever happened there that day.
From that highlight, yeah.
Yes. So, anyway, McCarthy he has excellent pocket presence. To start off with the highlights, he's got good size. He's 6'4". He's 6'4", 210. So he's like Brady-esque in build. He has good poise in the pocket. He's got good presence in the pocket most of the time. I don't think he handles actual pressure, very well. Like, he's good at knowing, oh, hey, it's been 2.5 seconds. I probably need to get out of the pocket now. But if you get to him quickly, he's not a very strong reactor.
All right.
He had, like I said, he had the weakest arm, and it shows up all over the place. And I thought that he was the luckiest of the quarterbacks, whereas the players around him made spectacular plays. Whereas Spencer Rattler got robbed a half dozen times on highlight reel plays, his players made plays where he should have been intercepted about half a dozen times last year. There was this one I had to watch it a couple times because I couldn't believe it. This ridiculous launch of a pass that he made against Nebraska, I think it was, where he throws the ball some 40 some odd yards in the air into the back of the end zone, and it somehow goes through two Nebraska defenders who seemingly have their hands up in the line of the ball, into the hands of a Michigan receiver who somehow comes down with it and gets 1 foot in the end zone. And you see stuff like that.
We're right there.
He didn't
like
do
that
anything.
play. And he's throwing back across his body. Like as soon as he throws it, that's a oh my God, what are you doing?
Yes.
Play.
Whereas,
and he happened to get lucky on it.
Yes, he was the luckiest quarterback of all of them. And the thing that I hated the most, absolute most about him, is that he would scramble, and then just find a way to like throw the ball into a bad position rather than just throw it away.
Okay.
He wouldn't just throw the ball away. And that's one of those things that's hard to coach out of players, is like throwing the ball away. Like that's something I look for. And I think I put it on Rattlers, like somewhere in there, that he was willing to throw the ball away.
Right.
And like I watch that on the film, and I'll smile. I'll take a deep breath and go, he knows how to play quarterback.
Right.
Play next down. Just play the next down. And like he was the worst.
Okay.
JJ was the absolute worst among these draft picks at making decisions at the tail end of a play where you should have just gave up.
All right. So this is a guy that's going in the first round. Most definitely.
Wouldn't
Just a
touch
matter of where.
Wouldn't touch him.
But yeah.
Anyway.
All right. So
And
stay away.
If I was the GM, there's no way. And you know what? And I've seen like things, like there was and people won't put their name on these quotes, you know, but it was AFC offensive coordinator. He's a backup quarterback.
Gotcha.
And it's like, yeah, I agree.
Strong back.
Yeah, whoever that was, listen to that guy. Somebody needs to listen to that guy. That guy knows what's up. He's a backup quarterback because he
All
is. That's what he is.
Now the last one the last quarterback to go over is Jaden Daniels.
And I wouldn't.
He's a guy that most people are talking about, like, oh my God, his fantasy prospects
And
are
you should be.
amazing.
You should
because
be.
He can
Because you're gonna-
run like a gazelle.
This guy, you're going to get Justin Fields like production out of. So like,
Gotcha.
how we were talking about Drake May earlier, right? You know, I was like, if he goes to New England, I'm worried about his ability. And you're like, yeah, but he's gonna get so much time, blah 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 blah. And I said, what about Justin Fields, right? With Jaden Daniels, it doesn't matter. You're gonna get you want to draft him. You want him on your fantasy team because you're going, like, doesn't matter where he goes, you're gonna get that
Production.
Justin Fields like couple years of production, even if he doesn't pan out. You're like Robert Griffin III, Justin Fields. Who else was somebody who we had a lot of fun with for a little bit of time? I don't want to say Cam Newton because Cam Newton went to the Super Bowl. Hey, right? We don't know. Kyler Murray, right? We've had Kyler started off like a rocket. You had him. You drafted him and won a championship with him in like 2019, right? Mm-hmm. And it's that kind of deal. Like he could have that kind of effect where you get him on your fantasy team and ride him to a championship as a rookie. This is the one that can do that. This one right here, Jaden. But having said that, I wouldn't draft him as a GM. I wouldn't
Gotcha.
There's no way I would, because you get fired.
Because you're getting Justin Fields. again.
Because the people who drafted Justin Fields and are going to fuck up again right now by drafting Caleb Williams should have been fired.
Right.
They should have been fired. Why they're getting 2 chances at starting the franchise over, I don't know, because that doesn't happen. Like,
So real quick, for redraft league, all the quarterbacks we've talking about in redraft, is there anybody?
just this one.
Just this one,
Jaden Daniels.
So he's
And-
the only one that you're in redraft that you're even thinking about.
Yeah.
So that's something to throw out there.
And look, like plays like that. He has several plays like that, but they're all on the ground. And what they people are enamored with his release time. I think he had the quickest snap to release time, and sure, there were plays where he dropped back and immediately just passed the ball. The only problem is like it doesn't take into account when he scrambles or when he runs around and gets a sack. Like, so there were certainly times where he did process well and made a good decision, and he also had 2 of the top 4 wide receiver prospects in the draft, so he had people helping him out. So I think he can struggle if he goes somewhere where he doesn't have guys that are just winning right off the line. and if he doesn't go to, I think that he needs time. Like he's he's one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the draft. He's started a lot of games.
Well, and didn't he suck for 3 years?
But he did.
And then
he's
all of a sudden amazing?
He is the Xavier Leggett of quarterbacks. Like,
Gotcha.
people are, like, the only reason that you would not draft Xavier Leggett right behind Marvin Harrison Jr. based on what you see is because he played 5 years and only did it for 1.
Right.
That's the only reason. Everything else is like, this is a monster.
Yeah. So
And-
there's definite red flags. I mean,
Yes.
this is a guy you want to take a chance on because, you know, I mean, a
Don't let-
running
yeah, you don't
quarterback
let him
just
get out of
kinda
round
breaks
one.
the rules.
Yeah,
you know
like,
what I mean?
to me, if I'm in Superflex and he gets to like round 5 or pick 5, pick 5, pick 6, that's I wouldn't let him go any farther than that, because you could have that nuclear season either this year or next year, but I think you're going to get one and you could sell him.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah,
and,
I mean-
and you could sell him for the farm. Like, imagine
So
what,
is Justin
imagine,
Fields your comp?
Yeah, Justin Fields. Yes.
Yes, okay.
Oh yeah, dead on. It's like watching the same guy.
All right.
Imagine what people were able to sell Justin Fields for
After F1.
going into last season.
Yeah. Yeah, he was looked at, he could be the number 1 quarterback.
Yeah.
That was the view, you know. So I tend to in dynasties and whatnot, I tend to stay away from these players in dynasty. I love them in redraft because, you know, hey, maybe you'll get that year. Dynasty, I tend to try to take the more C.J. Stroud, Patrick Mahomes, Burrow, you know, like those kind of guys.
You
know what I
want the
mean?
guys that are going to start.
They're going to start. They're going to be there forever, and they're always going to put up numbers. That's what I'm looking for in dynasty.
Yeah, and that's why, to me, like, I know that people are going to disagree with my number 1, but that's why Penix and Bo Nix are 2 and 3.
Gotcha.
Because to me, they are the most professional quarterbacks. They're going to succeed with whoever gets them.
And that's why I was all over C.J. Stroud last year, is because it seemed like, again, I don't watch, I just listen to people, and from from everyone I was listening to, I was just like, this guy is the more professional quarterback, and you know, the other one has got the potential with the legs. You know what I mean? And I'm just like,
He's got
you
the
know
it
what?
factor.
I'll take C.J. Stroud, and I'm feeling real good about that right now.
Well, I mean, in fantasy, like, Anthony Richardson could still, be the best quarterback from that draft as far as fantasy is concerned.
Yes, fantasy-wise, what little bit we saw from him last year, I was very, very
And I mean,
impressed.
I got to be honest, I was really encouraged with the last 5 or 6 games that Bryce Young played last year. I've been trying to get him everywhere.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I've been picking up Bryce
Well,
Young.
yeah, you can get him cheap right now. So
Yes. I've been picking up Bryce Young everywhere because I do think he actually is an NFL quarterback. I would much rather have Bryce Young start for my team than Derek Carr.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. No, I would agree with that. Yeah.
And I think that's going to continue for like 10-ish years.
Yeah.
So Bryce Young is a good QB2. Like, he's going to be like, and he'll have spike weeks because because the best thing about his entire season last year, he had 1 game with multiple turnovers. And he threw less than 10 interceptions throughout the whole season. And he started every game.
Impressive, yeah.
And he started every game. So, like, I think he's smart. He might be small, but he doesn't take hits. And I like what they're doing around him. They're building around him. I think he's going to be good, actually. So, as much as I don't like him more than C.J. Stroud, I would absolutely take C.J. Stroud.
Right. But all right.
Because there's really only like 5 quarterbacks in the league that I would start over C.J. Stroud if we're like starting a dynasty and like I'm the GM and I got to win Super Bowls. Like, I think he's a Super Bowl champion quarterback at some point.
I think so too.
So there was a couple of wide receivers that I wanted to talk about. First of all, Marvin Harrison Jr. To me, we talked about this on the ride over. He is the only player in this draft to me that is like a 4 years, 5 years into his career. We're talking about the Hall of Fame already. Like, he actually is that good.
What if he goes to New England?
I actually don't care, dude. I don't care.
Really?
I don't care.
He's that good.
He's that good.
Wherever he goes, he's going to be. A
Yeah,
star.
because even if he goes to New England, like even if they try and double cover him, he'll still win, and whoever's coaching the Patriots will be like, just throw him the ball. And like, you remember? Do you remember the Randy rule?
I don't remember what it was.
Randy Moss.
Yeah,
the
no,
Randy.
yeah.
But do you remember the Randy rule?
What was it?
So the Randy rule was they figured out in Minnesota that if they threw Randy the ball X amount of times or more, they win. And so
That's all we got to do.
so they developed, and it obviously didn't work out, but they developed the Randy rule, and so the Vikings game plan, and do we still have our lifelong Vikings fan in here?
He was in there for a while. He asked us some real good questions there for a while, but I think he might have faded out.
I'm sorry. I'm too bad. I'm sorry he missed that part then. But yeah, the Randy rule. He might remember the Randy rule. And anyway, Marvin Harrison Jr. is that guy. And like I try to find comps, and I just keep coming back to Randy Moss because he's that fast. He's that gifted with his hands and tracking the ball and knowing where to be and knowing how to set guys up and beat guys. Like, he is just playing with people out there. And he is a more fluid athlete than Randy Moss was. Randy Moss had tight hips. Like, Randy Moss was not a very good, like, double move kind of guy. You were kind of terrified of him. And so if he did a stutter step, like he was gonna run a post or something, you almost had to make a move. So his double moves were always effective. And Randy Moss had, world-class speed.
Right.
And Harrison does too. Like, if he gets behind you, he's gone. And
So, in Dynasty, rookie draft, is he your 101?
yeah.
And what about super flex?
Yeah.
101, huh?
Yeah. Can't
There
miss.
you go.
You can't miss.
All right. So, I mean, that makes that one easy. So, take him. And then what about our number 2? Who's your number 2 wide receiver?
I actually like a Dunze.
Dunze.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do. Now,
And I hear it go back and forth, but consensus seems to be Malik Neighbors at number 2 and then a Dunze number
But,
3.
I think
But everyone says it's close.
Malik Neighbors has some of those. Malik Neighbors can move all over the place. He can play everywhere. I think the reason that people like him so much is because he reminds them of like Odell without the flashy catches. And to me, he has a lot of abilities, but he runs kind of lazy routes. I don't think that he has great footwork when he wants to.
We're talking about Neighbors, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
we're talking about Neighbors. And so he gets put off his spot too many times when I watch him. I just don't like that. I really don't like, and I know that he might know that he's not the target on the play or something like that. But again, that's just one of those things I don't like. There's got to be like a good reason for players to be taking time off from plays, and even still, I still don't like it. And like
Because you could be setting your guy up.
The wide
you know what I
rece-
mean? You're not
Yes,
doing nothing there.
exactly.
You
And
can
that
be
was-
setting them up for the play where you are getting the ball.
And that was why, like, my actual, so like of the big three, we're ranking them, 1, 2, 3.
Mm-hmm.
But of all the wide receivers, these guys are not 2 and 3 for me. Number 2 for me is Adonai Mitchell. And it's because of stuff like that. Like, people talked about his effort and said that he lacked focus and stuff like that. And actually, Jason on the Footballers specifically made fun of him, saying that there was one play where he was sure that he was startled by the snap. And I saw Malik Neighbors do exactly the same thing. So how do you see it for one guy and not the other guy? You know
Gotcha.
what I mean?
Yeah.
I saw both guys do it. So it's like, how are you going to pick on one guy for it happening to him and not pick on the other guy? When it
Not more
happened to him?
noticeable or anything.
It was pretty bad.
All right.
It was pretty bad. Like, there's no way you didn't notice that he did. Like, he was definitely, like, I think he was like, he was talking to somebody on the sideline, and then he looked back, and then I think he wanted to say something else, and then the ball got snapped, and so he was late and a non-factor on that play. But that happened to actually the LSU guys multiple times, where it didn't seem like everybody was on the same page, which is probably a Jaden Daniels thing, where it just didn't seem like everybody was ready at the same time to go.
So what are the strengths of Odunze? So why is
Odunze can snag the ball from anywhere.
Okay.
He really helped out Michael Penix. Like, if Michael, and that was the thing, is they were such a great combo because Michael Penix could put it in that spot, and Odunze would go up and get it. And so he has several of his highlights are him, snagging the ball at the right as he's going, toe dragging into the end zone or at the back of the end zone and stuff like that, and hauling in deep passes. Odunze is a great tracker of the ball, and I actually just like his size and his fluidity better than I like from Neighbors. I think Neighbors is he's one of those guys, like, he's going to be more dangerous after the catch than before it. Does that make sense?
Wait, Neighbors is?
Neighbors is more dangerous with the ball in his hands than he is without it.
Okay.
And I know that's like an obvious thing, but it's like you have to win without the ball in order to get the ball.
To get the ball, yep.
So I don't see Neighbors as being. I just don't see him. I see him as being a good number 2 for somebody. But you know who he actually reminded me of when I watched him, and people are gonna hate this. He reminded me of Michael Gallup.
The guy that I just dropped off my dynasty team.
Because Michael Gallup is a freak athlete.
Really?
Could jump out of the gym, caught everything. Like, if he got hit like 2 fingers on the ball, he'd haul it in. And he just didn't win all the time.
Yeah.
And there's so much, and I loved Michael Gallup. There was so much potential there, and he just didn't do it. And I could see that happening with Neighbors.
Yeah.
I could see it. I could see him going to a place and becoming like disinterested.
Now, are these two close enough in your mind to where if one goes to New England
No,
and
they're
one
not.
goes to Buffalo?
They're not. No, because they're completely different. They have different mindsets.
So you'd take, so whoever gets the better landing place, if it's drastically different, that's who you're taking, right?
No.
Oh, so you're saying just Odunze, period,
Yeah.
is better than Neighbors.
Neighbors is like number 6 for me.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Like,
That's like very different from what I've been hearing from other sources.
I would rather, based on where, I'm not drafting Neighbors, based on where he has to be drafted.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because you're probably go 102, 103.
And I don't want to draft a Dunze based on what's happened. Like at the beginning of the draft season, I had several spots I have like pick 109 or pick 110. Several, because I knew what was going to happen with the depth at quarterback and at wide receiver. And I knew that was going to be a good spot. You're going to get a good player no matter what at that spot. And at first, I was hoping that Roma Dunze would be that guy to fall there. And at 109, 108, 109, 110, that's good value. That's really good.
Yeah, no.
But in the top 5, 6 picks, you gotta have it. You gotta score.
Yeah, no, that's a must. And
Yeah.
like I say, I've got the 102 in both my dynasty leagues, and so I'm very much looking at that.
And the reason I say that
problem.
is because if you have a top 6 pick, you can just straight up trade that pick for a stud right now.
Yeah.
You can trade that for a top line starter right now. So don't play the game.
And if I'm not happy with who I think I'm going to get at the 102, then I might trade that spot away.
To me,
and get something.
Yeah. So to me, if I'm not going to able.
Sorry, and real quick, Happy, thanks for sticking with us there, man. I think there's a delay on your on when you're doing your posting there, because it seems like we're seeing it quite a bit later. But glad you're sticking with us, brother.
Yeah, thank you. So I think at the top, like if I don't have like one of the first, I'd say 3 picks. So for me, it's Marvin Harrison Jr., Caleb Williams, and Drake May, like those three guys, because that's where they're going to go. All three of them are going to go somewhere in that range, you know. Then I don't even want to pick in the next like 5 or 6, because I would rather just trade you the pick for a guy I already know is going to give me 15-ish fantasy points. And let you.
And like I say, that's a great. If you have that kind of confidence in your scouting, like you do, that's a great strategy. You know what I mean? And if you do the kind of scouting I do, you trade those picks away and get tangible assets.
That's
right
what I'm
now.
saying, though. It's like and that's exactly what you're doing. Is you have the number 2 in 2 different leagues, and you're holding the number 2, and you're trying to get value for your other picks, and you're seeing if you can get starters, like the guys I know are going to start and produce fantasy points.
Yeah, Josh Jacobs, Mostert, guys like that, or I'm picking up.
And if you're not somebody who scouts, that's what you should be doing, because otherwise you're just throwing assets away. You literally are. So trade them to somebody who's trying to get them from you.
Yep.
Like if you have somebody who's hitting you up for draft picks, squeeze them for something you want.
Yep.
Just because they want your draft pick. You probably don't want your draft pick. And if you just go into the draft day, you're both going to lose.
Yeah. There you go.
There's hold on. There's a couple of guys that I really wanted to bring up that aren't getting talked about. We just talked about the big 3 receivers. Everybody has to know about Malachi Corley.
Okay.
Can you pull him up, Ray? He's if there is a
wide receiver, right?
Yeah. If there is a Deebo Samuel in this draft, it is Malachi Corley.
And just so you guys know, he's not on my top 16 list. So this is a deep sleeper.
So I'm gonna here. Watch this. It's so funny. And this is why people you really need to like go around and try and get the whole scope. Let's go. There you go. So
That was a good play.
In the yeah. Oh, he does that a lot. He blocks really well. He's got excellent hands. He runs great routes. He's just super tough.
Yeah, he's a big boy. Look at that.
And look at him. He's 5'11", 215. He runs through tackles.
Yeah, he definitely does that.
That was the play right there that we just watched, where I was like, "Oh, I must watch more," because it starts off with a super, that the other play down the sideline that's spectacular, but it's like, oh, that was cool, but that's super rare. It doesn't happen very often. That play right there is one of those ones that reminds you of Deebo Samuel, that just breaks people's backs.
Yeah.
And then he can do that too.
All right. Nice little sleeper there.
Prospect grade 6.35. Will eventually be plus starter, is what the NFL has to say about him after the combine. He is rapidly going up draft boards. He's somebody that by the time we get to the draft, I think is a mid-second round guy.
Wow. Okay. Well, and that'll be a big splash if so. And then
So if you still have your 2-2, take this guy.
all right. Hey,
Because if you don't, I will. And then you'll be really sad when you have to play against him.
and Ray, next Saturday because the draft is next week, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Next Saturday, are you available in the evening?
That's our normal day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should be doing it.
All right. So after the draft, that'll be, you know what I mean, after the whole draft, and we can really kind of go into things and who went where and all that good stuff. So,
maybe we can do a mock draft.
what do you mean? Like now?
No. A mock rookie draft.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that
Like a 3-round mock
Do
rookie
the first
draft.
one. Yeah, I like it.
So real quick, let's end this on a sour note, right? On a hate note. No, I gave you one player that you might not know about yet, Malachi Corley. One you know about already that you should stay away from is Luke McCaffrey. Don't do that. Don't draft Luke McCaffrey. That's a mistake. The first word that I had to describe him was stiff. He's a converted quarterback into wide receiver. He's played wide receiver for the last 2 years, but he's 24 already. And he does, like, that shows up on tape that he's only played wide receiver for 2 years because he's raw. He's got some size, like he looks like his dad, but he looks like his dad as an athlete. and if you remember watching Ed McCaffrey, he's not a great athlete at all.
Remember, but
he was a solid receiver. He won 2 Super Bowls with the Broncos. He was Elway's one of. They had Rod Smith, who was the guy who could run
Right.
deep, and Ed McCaffrey
the reliable
was Adam Thielen and could just win.
There you go.
Luke McCaffrey could eventually. So the way that what I feel about him is that you don't need to draft him. Someone's going to drop him before he turns into the starter, or not. I shouldn't say starter. Before he turns into the replacement level player that he will eventually be. And we've talked about this. He's got the pedigree being a McCaffrey. These types of players, they usually tend to be good pros.
Right.
Whether they're superstars or not, they usually turn out to be really good pros and hang around. So I expect him to hang around, but don't draft him thinking that you're scoring, like the next McCaffrey, or you're going to score like a starter. You're not getting a starter. He's never going to be a starter. He's like, I think he could turn into a big blocker, a good blocker, like a Noah Brown, like a Jawan Jennings, somebody who makes plays here and there. And if like 2 guys are injured in the wide receiver room and he has to start, he could catch 6 balls. so you could like have a Tyler Boyd type situation on your hands where like it's just like, yeah, I know exactly when to start him and never any other time. But other than that, no, he's not. Like, this is not a fantasy superstar in the making. Don't do that to yourself.
Don't fall for it. And just so, he's not on the top 16 list, so he's somebody that's being talked about, but he's not.
He'll get drafted.
So yeah.
He will get drafted. Nepotism's a thing.
Oh yeah. Well, and like you say, he's going to be valuable to a team. He's just not going to be valuable for your fantasy team.
Correct. Was there anything else you guys wanted to talk about? Do we want to talk about Ray C. Rice?
I guess we can talk about that for a second. Just I
thought it was funny because immediately people are just like, "Oh, he's done," and his fantasy value actually dropped immediately. Like, in terms of, there's a open source website that I like to use that compiles a bunch of data from everybody in terms of like how they rank players, and it converts it to a point system. Brian and I go through this one all the time. Keep trade cut. Right. And his value dropped, and he dropped like 6 wide receiver spots in ranking off of that event.
Well, because you don't know how long he's going to be out.
It won't even be this year.
You don't think so?
No.
So you think it's a 3-game suspension next year?
The only way that gets resolved, I don't even think it's gonna be that. The only way this really isn't as serious as people are making it out to be. The only way this gets resolved this calendar year is if he gets the terms that he wants. Otherwise, they'll just drag it out. And if he gets the terms that he wants, it'll mean that it's minor enough that it's probably not going to trigger the NFL's conduct policy. I'm thinking 1 game. I'm not thinking 3. I'm thinking 1, because for as angry as the public is about how he went about handling the situation that he left the scene, a lot of these, even like, a lot of these higher ups have children that are fuck ups. Like, look at Andy Reid. Right? I think Andy Reid's lost 2 children to drug problems.
Damn.
They like died.
I know one, but I think he lost a second child to like drug related issues. And we don't really talk about it a whole lot, but like, you think about everything that entails. in terms of like dealing with the law and stuff like that. So these people know. That's all I'm saying. They know. They know what the actual right way, smart thing to do is. And in my opinion, he did that. If he was drunk or high,
Which I think they found marijuana in the car.
It could have only gotten worse for him if he stayed.
Did he get an extra charge for leaving?
You do, but it's not anything.
Nothing that's consequential to him.
No, it's not. The law is crazy this way in that, like, you would think, like, oh, he left. That's got to be just as bad as being drunk or having pot or whatever, and it's just not. It's just not. And so when he comes back the next morning, at a point when they can't, confirm that he was drunk or high, he's meeting it's slap on the wrist. You should have stayed, son. In terms of how that goes.
Gotcha. So, good advice for people out there. How to handle yourself in that situation.
What I told people in like I said earlier, I didn't digress earlier, but I will now because we're talking about it. I don't like to get involved in online back and forths with people, other than in a forum like this. I'm not going to argue with you. But people seem to be so outraged about like the moral, implications of how he handled his business that I actually felt compelled to say something. And it's like, and the most important thing that I can tell people is the law is not your friend.
That's the truth.
The law is not your friend. You don't owe the law anything at all, other than your taxes. After that, you protect yourself and your family. You don't worry about what the law thinks of you. Don't worry about what people next door think of you. You protect yourself. You protect your family. And he did that. And I happen to believe that that is how people in the NFL, not the media, will see it.
I can see that. Now, but just for the other side, do we know what exactly happened? Was it we assume it was a race between two cars, right?
They left a nightclub because there was people there was a whole story that was built up. So he was drunk. He had pot on him. He started talking some shit with some dude, and he decided to get into his car and race. And when they lost control, they hit a couple of cars.
Damn.
Nobody was injured. Nobody, there were no serious injuries.
Yeah, but easily could have been. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, the way the law works is he didn't kill anybody. He didn't permanently damage anybody. The only thing those people have coming to them is whatever their insurance says they have coming to them. Rashee Rice doesn't owe them a damn thing.
Oh, well, I mean, that's not... Yeah.
The law will take care of...
And I would disagree. If I'm, just saying that if I'm Rashee Rice, man, I'm getting those people some season tickets.
He probably will.
Yeah, no, and he should.
Probably will. And thank you for bringing that up, because... that should be made a bigger deal of, is because what's going to happen is that this is going to play out, and the law is going to screw those people. The law is going to screw those people. The law is not going to hold Rashee Rice accountable monetarily. So if one of those, was it 6 cars or something like that, I think that got damaged in the incident. And that happens all the time. And I drive through Southern California and see huge pileups, and people do all kinds of stupid shit, just looking at their
what we saw on the way over here.
Seriously, what we see on the way over here. This guy is all of a sudden swerving into Brian, and Brian gets out of his way, lets him get into the lane, and the guy mean mugs Brian.
I'm the asshole.
And then gets back into the lane that he just got out of.
Oh, it was the dumbest thing I'd seen in a while. As soon as I could, I raced past that
And
guy.
I told Brian,
oh
you
my
know
God.
what? Like I saw he was a Dallas Cowboys fan on his license plate in the back. I was like, you know, he must have seen something on your car that said you were a Steelers fan or something. Because that just didn't make any sense. But people do stupid stuff all the time that causes people thousands of dollars in damage. And in the same exact ways, there are, like, you cause an accident, it happens to hit a car that's an uninsured driver. That person gets screwed. They get screwed. But it was their fault. They should have had coverage. So and that was one thing I told people, was like, the only thing these people have coming to them is an insurance check.
No.
If they were insured. And so, like, to avoid PR, he should buy a new car if somebody lost their car and now they can't get to work or something like that, you know, and they just didn't have insurance, and they're like, and some people are in a bad spot where they're like, so you should never just buy a car to avoid a car payment and insurance payments and stuff like that. You're so much safer if you just get yourself into a small payment for a car that is fully insured than having a car that is fully paid for that you don't have to insure and then driving it uninsured. That is that's the actual stupidest thing you can do, because you have a big pile of your investments walking around, like, just I really can't even liken it to anything, because it's like getting all of your money into like plastic bags and then piling it onto a radio flyer and walking it around in a windy day. Like, you're just asking for trouble. So, like, don't ever do that. Don't. But anyway, that's the person that could have been hurt in this situation. So he should make it right by them. He should do that. He can, because he can. Because the worst thing, this whole scenario that I read, was that Raishi Rice was spending $17,000 a day to rent that Lamborghini.
Really?
It's like a $600,000 car, dude. Come on.
Wow.
Like, do the math.
Well, maybe he knew what was going to happen to the car.
Like, you're literally paying for the entire car if you have it for a year. Just put a down payment on a car. That was some Rent-A-Center shit. Like, if I was an NFL exec, that's where I'd be coming down on him. If I was the Chiefs, that's where I would be upset
two
at
spots
him.
mentally in my head. I was like, oh, okay. He's a numbskull. I'm going to lower him down a little bit, my opinion of him. You know what I mean?
But he handled the situation properly. He did. I mean,
Well,
it could have been.
I'm sure he called his lawyer.
It could have been worse.
Yeah.
It could have. Right, but some people don't, dude.
Yeah.
What happened with Henry Ruggs? Just sat there. And actually, like, literally made it worse, because if he had run, they wouldn't have been able to say that he let that girl die in the car.
Oh.
He sat there and let her die. And if he had just, and I'm sorry, I really, like, I'm not trying to help Henry Ruggs in any way. I'm just trying to help people understand how the law works. If he had immediately run, it would have been less of his responsibility to help her, because he wouldn't have known that he could have said that he didn't know, but based on everybody being around and him sitting right there, people heard the screams and the crying.
Yeah, I didn't know too much about that one. What a douche. Anyway.
So don't try to liken Raishi Rice to Henry Ruggs. It is not the same thing.
He got luckier.
That's so fucked up, dude.
All right, we've gotten pretty far afield.
That's
here.
such a horrible way to end the show.
Good luck on your draft picks.
Draft next week, guys. It's going to be fun, and we'll have a lot more information after that on Saturday.
Yeah,
A lot
good
more
luck to your
speculation.
teams. I hope your team doesn't draft Caleb Williams.
All right, everybody. We will see you hopefully on Saturday, 7 o'clock.
Yeah, thanks for being with us. We'll see you.
Happy. Thanks for hanging out.